The Vikings added to a crowded quarterback room, bringing back Carson Wentz on a one-year deal. He started 5 games for Minnesota last year before season-ending surgery after dislocating his shoulder. The 33-year-old Wentz joins J.J. McCarthy, newly signed Kyler Murray, and last year's third-stringer Max Brosmer. Head coach Kevin O'Connell wouldn't name a starter when they signed Murray. NFL analyst Ben Solak joining us now. Ben, so the Vikings, they've been busy adding to this quarterback room. What does this latest signing here with Wentz mean for J.J. McCarthy?
I think it means what we all think it means. You know, they came out of that season and they said the right things, you know, support the quarterback, young guy. But then you heard Justin Jefferson over a lot of the postseason run there at the Super Bowl talking about how productive he would have been if only we had a quarterback who had stayed in the system. And he's alluding to Sam Darnold there. But in general, there was clearly some frustration from Jefferson over the course of the year with the play of McCarthy. And so when you go and you bring a guy like Kyler, who's emphatically a starting quarterback in the league, you can argue 12th, that's 18th, 21st, but he's definitely a starter. When you go and you bring in Wentz to potentially be QB2, the message, I think, you know, reading between the lines isn't hard here. I don't see much of a future for McCarthy in Minnesota at all. Does that mean they would listen to trade offers for him? Got no idea. Does that mean they don't believe in his development? I don't think so at all. But they're ready for a life in which he's nowhere near the starting job.
They want to win, and they want to please their star wide receiver. Of course, we didn't see that last year. The Vikings, they're not the only team now with questions surrounding the quarterback position. Which quarterback would really benefit finding a new home?
Yeah, I continue to wait for the Anthony Richardson trade. To me, you know, we're seeing a lot of trades this year in the NFL offseason. Richardson's got 1 year left on his deal. He's clearly not quarterback 1 there. They made the investment in Daniel Jones. I'm not even sure he's quarterback 2 with Riley Leonard, the young quarterback they have there. Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen have hitched their wagon onto the Jones era. Richardson was a player who always needed development, but he got banged up in his rookie season and in his sophomore season. Made it hard for him to get that developmental track. Well, go somewhere else to be quarterback 2. Go to Pittsburgh. Go to Arizona. These teams that don't have a young passer right now, sit on the bench and develop. He's still very, very young. He's 24, turning 25. He still has great physical tools. So if I'm looking for that dart throw in the dark to invest in as a general manager, I'm looking to Indianapolis. I'm seeing if I can trade for Anthony Richardson.
And you could potentially get good value on a trade. Richardson was drafted 4th overall by the Colts in 2023. Much more from Ben in a bit.
Coming up, UConn. Back to the NFL, the Broncos sat out free agency and then made one of the big trades of the offseason, getting receiver Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. Cost them 1st, 3rd, and 4th round picks. Waddle's one of the fastest players in the league, giving Denver a big play option that wasn't there last year. So Waddle has been one of the most productive receivers in the NFL during the last 4 seasons, averaging 10 yards per target, best in the NFL among 26 players with at least 400 targets. Last season, Broncos receivers had the 9th fewest yards per target. As we welcome in senior NFL writer Bill Barnwell. Okay, so we saw the Broncos in the AFC Championship game last year, and now they added Jalen Waddle to their offense, as I just outlined. How do you evaluate them as contenders going into next season?
I like the Jalen Waddle fit. He would have been great for the 2025 Broncos. I just don't know if the 2026 Broncos are going to make it quite as far. Some elements of their game that concern me. Go back to last year. Games decided by 8 points or less. They were 11-2. They won a lot of close games. Some of those against good teams. Other ones, they beat the Giants, they beat the Jets, beat the Raiders. Really close ones. That's not the mark of a great team typically. And then the defense did struggle down the stretch. Really good in the first half, but they were 23rd in EPA per play after their bye over the ensuing 4 games. Got a couple weeks against backups at the end of the year, but then they allowed 30 points to the Bills in the divisional round before they get that crazy snow game in the conference championship. Defense is still good. Just don't know if it's dominant. And if it's not dominant, I don't know if the Broncos are really as close to a title as maybe they thought when they made the Jalen Waddle trade.
Okay, so you're not sold on the Broncos, but there are plenty of other teams with holes to fill. So who do you see going after players on the market this offseason?
Let's start in Washington, where they need a second wide receiver for Jaden Daniels. And who doesn't love a good reunion in a couple ways? Brandon Ayuk, of course, is very familiar with Jaden Daniels from their time at ASU, and familiar with Adam Peters, the Commanders GM, from when he was in San Francisco. Ayuk's a really valuable player coming off of a serious injury, but was great in 2023, would make sense for a 1-year deal in Washington if he leaves San Francisco. Moving on to Kansas City, cornerback is a liability there with Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson out. So maybe taking a shot at some cheaper guys. Rick Veach likes to kind of dumpster dive a bit when it comes to cornerback. I look at Martin Emerson of the Browns, who was good before he tore his Achilles. Jeff Okudah, who bounced around the league a bit, but still a talented young player, good tackler. They could maybe go for quantity over quality at cornerback for the Chiefs. They forward to Steelers. Obviously, as is the case every year, they need a quarterback. And you start with Aaron Rodgers, and that does seem to make sense. It's like the logical fit with Mike McCarthy being there. There are other options as well. Kirk Cousins could be a fit. Jimmy Garoppolo is a free agent. Joe Flacco is 75 years old. He's been really good when he's had a chance to play over the past couple of years. So the Steelers might want to wait for Aaron Rodgers, and the McCarthy thing makes sense, but hey, if they want to maybe be a little more aggressive, there are other veteran options out there who could be potentially division-winning quarterbacks if they get hooked up with that Steelers defense.
I like that you said Joe Flacco is 75 years old because also is Aaron Rodgers. I feel like they need another quarterback even if Aaron Rodgers decides to return to Pittsburgh, so we'll see what happens. Bill currently has an article on ESPN.com breaking news.
It's time we talk about the biggest rumor in the NFL world right now. The Eagles and Patriots allegedly have an agreement in place to trade A.J. Brown post June 1st when some money gets off the books. A.J. Brown was on Julian Edelman, Patriots Legends podcast. And I'll let you guys listen to what he had to say.
Just remember, we're all Patriots. You know that, right?
Are you going to be a Patriot? Are you going to be a Patriot?
So look, a little bit of a wink. Christian Gonzalez ended up reposting this post from Julian Edelman earlier today, 9:30 in the morning. It was a crazy news to wake up to. Fellas, is A.J. Brown a bit out of line for winking as if he's going to be a Patriot? Or is he
You a
just
wide
playing
out,
games?
T. You a wide out. You in the speakeasy for this topic right here, T. Do not mince words, T. All right, look, Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's the easiest way to win cash while you're watching games. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on 2 or more players, and you lock it in. That's it. No spreadsheets, no nonsense. If player picks aren't your thing, you can also pick teams now. Winner, spread, total, all in the same map. Team picks are live in 30 states, including California, Texas, my home state, and Florida. Most importantly, new users use code SPEAKEASY. $5 gets you $50 in lineups for free. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
I love it.
Ooh.
I do. A.J. Brown has obviously wanted to be out of Philly. And I believe that's an indication that is going to happen. I always felt like him and Vrabel got along very well. Vrabel gets him. When I believe it was Vrabel that said, like, we talk all the time, we communicate, we text each other. When you still have a relationship with a coach years after you've played for him,
Facts.
y'all really understand and like each other on a personal level. And so if the Patriots get A.J. Brown, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem. Can they play defense like that again? You would probably say absolutely with Vrabel being the head coach. It was offensively, how are they going to evolve? A.J. Brown is going to be by far and away their best receiver. Romeo Doubs is going to be a great number 2. And so now it's just, can they stay healthy? But that little wink, if it was untrue, he would have been like, man, I hope, I'm still with the Eagles, but we'll see what happens. That wink right there tells me everything I need to know, especially with Jules obviously being a Patriot. He has some inside news, and they just got to be careful with releasing it.
Yeah, facts. So context, this conversation was from February 19th.